Ladies and gentlemen, what should we expect with DK Metcalf in Pittsburgh with a brand new wide receiver opposite him and an unknown quarterback throwing to him? What's the latest that we expect for a turnaround for David Montgomery in Houston? And how do we think the Green Bay Packers passing attack is going to be live in 2026, or maybe not live, with Jordan Love, Matthew Golden et al.? We have a great show for you tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, the 10-time FFPC Main Event and Big Gorilla League champion Derek Grier will join us tonight. We've got a great show for you. Ferrell Elliott is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Can't stand the pressure. I've seen greater men than need a lesson.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now watching the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. Welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for analysis from the best players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott.
Solace in the scripture. Are we not all our father's sons? I became a man. Nobody ever told me what a man was.
Thank you, Rob. Greetings and salutations to all of you Balkaholics and Ferrelliacs. Welcome into the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour Extra Reps, brought to you by MyFFPC.com, MyFFPC.com, the Fantasy Football Players Championship. Eric Balkman is my name. I'm your slightly above average host, and my co-host is the definitive commissioner of fantasy football, Ferrell Elliott. Coming up on tonight's show, let's get into the conversation of the Packers passing game. We will also talk about one newcomer to the NFC East and whether he can finally launch on that big career that I think many of us expected in the FFPC. In new digs as he assumes a new team and a new quarterback this year. We will also talk, time allowing, Jalen Coker, AJ Brown, the Baltimore Ravens receiving situation, and so much more. If you want to connect with us on X, we are at HSFF Hour. At Eric Balkman is where you can find me on X. And, of course, the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship found at KFFSC.com, KFFSC.com, Facebook.com/HSFF Hour. Email the show at highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. If you have any questions for us, send them in now. We'll try to get to all the chat room questions, all the emails in the fantasy feedback segment coming up later on in the show. Shout out to our audio engineer and my best friend, Bryce, and, of course, our producer and mutual friend, Rob. MyFFPC.com is where to go for the FFPC Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament and Never Too Early Superflex Best Ball Tournament. Less than a week to go before we hit the NFL Draft. So register for those right now, $40,000 and $10,000 grand prizes. Once they hit capacity, that's it. Once the NFL Draft starts, that's it. So you are running out of time to play in that. As Ferrell always says, don't be a wish I had. MyFFPC.com is where to register for that. We are under 300 Dynasty and Empire Dynasty orphans with the FFPC. Time's running out to grab some great deals on those. I will tell you that the prices for the 500 through 1250, we have never had this low prices right now. So if you want to get a great deal, MyFFPC.com is where to go for that. The Big Gorilla and Baby Gorilla also available at MyFFPC.com. $1 million grand prize, $100,000 grand prize for those, $350 entry and $125 entry. Don't forget about the 7 Bananas promo and the early Rampage promo, which is going on right now. For more details, go to myffpc.com and click on those promos before or after you register, whatever. You're eligible for the early Rampage tournament when you register now anyway. myffpc.com. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live. We will be going live next week again for our NFL Draft Preview Week. A lot of great stuff going on with that. I'll tell you what's going on with that at the end of the show. But before I can do that, I have to bring in my co-host tonight, the definitive commissioner of fantasy football, Mr. Ferrell Elliott. Ferrell, welcome in tonight. This is so good to have you on. The juices for dynasty and fantasy football players everywhere are obviously flowing as we are coming very, very close to the NFL Draft. I got to believe they flow even faster for you coming up on this time of year.
They do. And I go back to Wednesday night, and I believe it was Scott Hoyt. No, it was It was Mr. Hahn who said,
yeah,
we want the draft now.
yes.
And there is so much work being done and so much to do. And and this draft for fantasy players, especially at wide receiver, is so deep. I would say that you can go to the 20th wide receiver, and he's not going to be much different in talent and skill set than some of the guys that are 5th, 6th, and 7th ranked wide receivers. And it's a wonderful year to study your rookies.
The tight end position, I think, is fairly deep as well.
Mm-hmm.
As much as people malign the running back position, I believe that is a deep position in this year's draft as well. Quite frankly, quarterback, maybe not the deepest in the world, but all three of the other ones, very, very intriguing to see where some of these players are going to be going next week. We'll have coverage on that. Special announcement coming up with that. I should have mentioned this on Wednesday, but we'll mention it tonight before we sign off.
Cool.
Ain't no party like a West Coast party because West Coast party don't stop. And who better to bring on from the West Coast but our good buddy, the 10-time FFPC Main Event and FFPC Big Gorilla League champion. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him from X at DE Grier 66. Please welcome back onto the program, Mr. Derek Grier. Derek, good evening, sir. Good and welcome.
Yes. Hello. Thank you.
The I forgot to mention this on Wednesday. I met your son out in Las Vegas at the FFPC live events.
Yes.
But it's my understanding, according to what Ferrell said, your son is coming to Kentucky this year.
He's supposed to.
What? That's not certainty.
I don't think it's changed. I think he's coming. Yeah. He should come with me. Yes.
There's an old great Southern Americana song with a line that says, "Oh, Elijah, gonna miss me when you're gone." So we gotta have Elijah up in here, So that's just all there is to it.
He'll make the trip.
Good. That sounds like a commitment to me, Balky. Move on with other.
All right, we got the commitment.
You get the answer you want. You just move on.
That's what Billy Bean did.
Billy Bean. Hang up. Billy Bean, just hang up the phone.
Just hang up. You hang up. Exactly.
Just hang up the phone. Never hang up the phone on Derek Grier though, because whatever he tells you, it's the next thing he tells you is even going to be more value. It looks like somebody's calling him right now.
Yeah, I'm going on a fishing trip tomorrow night. So
you're going fishing.
That's awesome. Where are you fishing, Derek?
We going out of Long Beach. Long Beach.
So what kind of fish do you catch at a Long Beach?
Oh, we'll catch some lingcod, some rockfish, and whatever else is out there that's going to bite for us.
I get so confused. When he said he was going fishing, I wanted to remind him he was a married man. I get so confused with what people are talking about when, I just really do.
It allows me to get out. So I was on an overnight trip. I didn't go last year because I was too heavy involved with my dynasty teams.
Yeah. We're going to get on that shortly. Rockfish. I heard those are good eating. Is that true, Derek?
Yeah. It's part of the red snapper family.
Okay, got it. All right, fantastic.
Beautiful.
Well, listen, we're going to go from fishing in Long Beach to talking about wide receivers in Pittsburgh as we lead off tonight's show with an email from Jim in Miramar, Florida, who may or may not do some fishing down there. But he wants to know, and Derek, I'll let you lead off with this. How does DK Metcalf succeed in Pittsburgh with Michael Pittman opposite him and Aaron Rodgers, or worse, throwing to him? Thank you. That is Jim in Miramar, Florida. Jim, we appreciate the email. Derek, I'll just preface this by saying it wasn't a great breakout year for the tandem of Metcalf and Rodgers. Obviously, Pittman is going to muddy the waters a little bit this year. Should we still believe in DK Metcalf in 2026?
I think we should. I really think we should. He's still a number one wide receiver, and he's also. I mean, if you look at his numbers last year, he had 59 receptions, 800 and something odd yards, if I got that right. And if you look at his numbers over the last 3 years, they're kind of about the same as far as his average numbers. He averaged. Let me look at his stats real quick. And one thing about DK, he's very, very reliable, and he's available. 2025, he played 15 games. 2024, 15 games. 2023, 16 games. And if you look at his targets is over. He's averaging about 112 targets per year over his entire career.
You would think with Rodgers, coming back that it's got to be a more successful passing game there than it was last year. That's my opinion on it. That's my opinion on what Pittman brings to the team. Whatever he brings to the team from a fantasy perspective, Metcalf is an interesting running buddy on the other side. You put them on the same side, those safeties are going to be leaning out of their mind. Derek, I like your assessment of those players. And you know what? If you get Pittman, Metcalf, and Rodgers, 3 older players, if it's not going to be done now, it's not going to be done. So, there's no tomorrow for these guys, essentially. So you can bet on that, too.
Right. The division they're in, they're going to have to throw the ball. Mm-hmm. Especially against Cincinnati and those offensive weapons, and also in Baltimore, those weapons, and Cleveland, those weapons. So they will have to pass the ball quite a bit.
Yeah, and it could get a little convoluted in the wide receiver room, because you think if you're going to put those veterans on the field, you're going to bring in some rookies. They've got 3 picks in the 3rd round, and right. I will keep hammering home the fact that 3rd round wide receivers in this draft are very talented.
Roman Wilson there, right? We still have Roman Wilson there.
Yeah, Wilson's still there. And Balky, when was Puka drafted? Just remind me.
Oh God, I want to say 5th round.
Yeah, 5th round. Yeah. So let's watch all the draft, guys. Let's watch all the draft.
New coach. Mm-hmm. We'll probably see a different type of offensive game plan. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be run heavy. I don't think it's going to be run heavy like Mike Tomlin did over his years. It was run heavy.
Yeah, it's going to be a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's going to be totally different. I think it's going to be more open offense. So I think DK is going to be in a move a lot. He's going to be in motion. I think he's going to give him the ball. That's just my prediction.
Yeah, no, and you brought up Wilson. I mean, Calvin Austin, obviously, kind of had not a very big impact on this offense last year. But Michael Pittman, what's the impact that he has at Metcalf? I think on the surface, Derek, we think, oh, God, he's going to take away targets or whatever. But perhaps he makes Metcalf a little bit more efficient. I don't know, having him opposite. I don't know your thoughts on
that's my point. You can't focus on that one guy anymore. You have to focus on both of those receivers. That means the defense is going to have to change their strategies, right, on how they're going to cover both of these guys. And don't forget about the tight end going down the middle.
Freiermuth.
You can't forget about him in that offense. Besides the Rico Dotto coming out of the backfield. Mm-hmm. He can catch the ball. So I believe DK going to have one of his best years. I really do. That's if we get Aaron Rodgers in there. So we still no guarantee on that yet. He's still a free agent.
Balky is supposed to know what's going to happen there because he is from Wisconsin.
You know what's sick about that is I do a movie and pop culture podcast with a guy who is a hardcore Steelers fan. Mm-hmm. So I should know. And guys, I'll just share this real quick. That guy, his name is Ben Cominos. You can connect with him on X at Ben Cominos. He is Greek Orthodox. Why is this interesting that he's Greek Orthodox? Mm-hmm. Well, in Greek Orthodox religion, and I promise you this will be worth it. There's an Easter service you go to from midnight until 3 a.m. I'm going to repeat that. Midnight until 3 a.m. Wow. He shows up to this service numerous years ago, and he had these dress shoes on, and he was desperately trying to stay awake. He was having problems, and he was like, when you get that nervous, like where you're kind of like shaking your leg, you're bouncing it back and forth, but his dress shoes were clacking against the ground. And this guy sitting behind him at this service says, "Hey, excuse me, do you mind not clacking your feet against the ground?" And then my friend Ben, who can be a little bit ornery from times, at times, he turns around and he says, "Can you possibly shut the heck up and leave me alone?" And he turned around, and the guy that was telling him to stop clacking his feet, one Troy Polamalu, who was also Greek Orthodox, sitting behind him at this service. And as soon as Ben's a huge Steelers fan, he loves Polamalu. They share the same religion. He turned around and immediately after he said, "Look, I've had a really rough day. I'm sorry." And Polamalu was just like, just wasn't hearing it. That was it. And that's Ben's claim to fame for one of his idols, and Troy Polamalu, that was the interaction he had.
Derek, how many times have you been on the show?
3 times. It's third time.
And you are a fantastic contributor because of your knowledge. It's just a wide knowledge. I really have enjoyed watching you draft, seeing that you're the kind of player that, and you came all the way here, and you don't necessarily need to make the trek from California all the way to Kentucky to fulfill your fantasy football schedule, but we're so pleased that you did. It's just, and I've been involved in pop culture through my businesses my whole life, and you can count up my appearances on Balky's and the Greek Orthodox Gentleman Show. We are at 0, which is less than yours, Derek, and the same as a lot of people that don't even know Balky. So I just wanted to point that out while we're here.
Duly noted. Ferrell, the next time we do a podcast where I think you will be a strong, like if we ever review a Seabiscuit 2, you will be coming on.
I'll refer you to my agent and double check availability.
Right, perfect. I will. My people will contact your people.
Yeah, that's right.
Derek, my people are contacting you right now via me, and I'm going to ask you about the Houston Texans running back situation. That in Philadelphia, maybe related to Dave Tripoli, we don't know. He writes, hello, Balky and Ferrell, because everybody in Philadelphia is related. Just kidding. What's your expectation for David Montgomery, the Texan, this season? That is from Matt in Philadelphia. Matt, we appreciate it, as well as all the great people in Philadelphia. Montgomery has gone from Chicago to Detroit, and now in Houston, where he will not have to deal with DeAndre Swift. He will not have to deal with Jahmyr Gibbs, but he will have to deal with Woody Marks. I mean, my point here is he is going to a situation where he is the lead guy in capital letters and does not have a 1A or 1B next to him. So to answer Matt's question in Philadelphia here, Derek, what's your expectation for Montgomery in Houston?
Well, I'm expecting a very, very good year. I know I kind of in our draft, I think about a month and a half ago with Ferrell here, he was drafting, I think, the 12th spot, and I was like 11 or 10. I kind of talked him into drafting. I think it was 5th round. He got him early. In fact, it was the same week that he had signed with Houston. I said, here we go. And right away,
Derek sent me an unexpected gift, a little nudge in the right direction. He can see things that others can't, Balky.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was a very good team of mine. And I have to remind myself, Balky, when I'm playing early in the season in the FFPC, to consult the rule book and the structure of the league before I start drafting. But be that as it may, I would love to have Montgomery on a good team because I think, Derek, just like you, he can really contribute to getting you the entire way through the season. I see a lot of carries, a lot of yardage, and a real touchdown weapon.
I see he's going to be a beast.
Yeah, it'll be a beast.
The way their offensive game plan is run the football first. They're a run-heavy team. And also, he's a good receiver out of the backfield. Montgomery should score at least, my predictions, between 10 to 15 touchdowns.
Yep, easy.
That's my prediction. He's going to get. He'll probably be 1,200 to 1,600 yards going in that range. If he stays healthy, of course, all running backs, if they carry more of the football, they're going to have a tendency to get injured. But he's been proven over the years that he's a solid running back. He is an RB1, in my opinion, for this team. I see Sean Marks coming in, relieving them, as most running backs get relief a little bit from time to time. But there's possibility they may draft a running back. You never know. They run the football a lot. They're going to need running backs.
Yeah, and they could. And I wonder, I question if by the way, Derek, I do not question that they may draft a running back. I think that they probably will. But when Montgomery and Marks are healthy, I question the impact that a probable day 3 player is going to have on that. I think his impact on this running game would be much more impactful if Montgomery and or Marks were to go down. But if Montgomery and Marks are healthy, I think it's wheels up for both of them. And I'll say this too. I echo what you're saying. I don't know if I'm as bullish with the touchdowns and yards, but I'm not far off. As far as what Montgomery could do this year, you can get him as running back 24.
Yeah.
See, never too early best ball tournament right now. That is after Trevion Henderson. It is after DeAndre Swift. He is going before Bashal Tutin and RJ Harvey, two guys that are sophomores in the NFL this year that, could be great, and they might be clunkers. We don't know. But you keep Montgomery as running back 24 in the early 5th round right now.
Very dependable. He's perfect for a zero RB build. If you want to 4 or 5 wide receivers off the bat and then come around that 5th round or 6th round and grab Montgomery who's there, you're off to the excellent start.
In Houston's 12-win season, they've just got the normal run of draft picks. They've either got 7 or 8, and their 12-win season in the early 3 rounds pushes them way back. And so I don't know if I see them drafting a running back that could make an immediate difference.
Well, they loaded at wide receiver, right? They got Jake, the other kid.
I think most of these picks go on the defensive side of the ball and the offensive line. Maybe a tight end for them. Maybe.
You know what's wild, guys, is Montgomery has not had a receiving touchdown since 2022. He has gone 3 full seasons without catching a touchdown. I would think there's probably going to be some regression there. And bear in mind, for anybody who's like down on Montgomery, not that I want to turn this in the David Montgomery hour, but 2023, 13 rushing touchdowns, followed that up in 2024 with 12. And even with like decreased carries and touches and opportunities with Jahmyr Gibbs going Super Saiyan last year, Montgomery still had 8 touchdowns. So he has a knack for the end zone, and I believe that continues this year. I think he is one of the more undervalued running backs we are looking at in fantasy football for 2026. Moving on here, and Ferrell, I will throw you this question first, and then we'll let Derek chew on it. Ray in Southfield, Michigan. Are we going to see Jordan Love unleashed in 2026? Thank you so much. That is Ray in Southfield, Michigan. Ferrell, I've weighed in on this, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. The Packers have been a very ground-heavy team for fantasy purposes the last couple of years, obviously with Josh Jacobs. But there are people that are clamoring for a big breakout year for Jordan Love. No Romeo Doubs this year, and maybe we'll get Matthew Golden, maybe we won't, but there's a lot of people within the building in Green Bay that are very bullish on Golden taking a big step forward. You have Tucker Kraft coming off the torn ACL. You have Christian Watson, who came off the torn ACL last year, that should be hitting the ground running here. With all these pass catchers, are we going to see a different Jordan Love in 26 that maybe we didn't see the last couple of years?
Boy, I tell you what, I'm going to try to answer this question as non-committally as I can, where then I can look over and tag the superior Derek Grier to clean up what I bring into here. Now, on Wednesday's show, our guest Jeff said that he thought that Tucker Kraft would have an explosive year. So if a tight end is always going to raise the boat for these wide receivers. I'm a big Christian Watson fan. And okay, so Tate was drafted where last year? Like he was a 1st-round draft pick. What number was he? Not Tate.
Golden, right?
Golden.
Yeah.
And you see where that Golden Tate there? You see how long I've been up, Derek? You see what's going on here? The brain is wearing down. If I had just had some more bourbon tonight. But the Golden Tate, that's not who we're talking about. We're talking about Matthew Golden. Where was he drafted last year?
23rd overall last year.
23rd overall pick. And you can see we've got a glory list of wide receivers that we'll talk a little more about as we get to talking about Baltimore and what they might do. But a rookie receiver has to percolate a little bit and get into place. And I don't think the organization has soured one bit on Matthew Golden. This will be the year that they will try to make him successful. Watson is coming along. Sure, they would all like to draft Puka Nacua in the 5th round to have the best. Sometimes it just doesn't work that way. Jordan Love, yes. Derek, I'm with Jordan Love as having an improved year in Green Bay and raising all the boats of the receivers with him.
I totally agree with you. And if you look at his numbers, they vary from year to year since he's been in the league. He's still on an upward trend over the last 3 years. But again, their offensive structure, their game plan is basically run the football first with the man, So Jacobs, they're gonna run that football.
So you got to have enough offense to make it all work. You got to have enough defense to make it come together.
Look at the division that they're in. They have to face Detroit twice. They have to face the Bears twice. They have to face these teams twice, which these teams are explosive. They put up points. You're going to have to pass that. Jordan Love's going to be forced to throw that football. He will throw that football. He should have a decent year. Again, we know Washington was hurt, I think, first half of the year last year. That kind of hurt his numbers because Washington, I believe he missed probably the first 5 or 6 games of the year.
And the tight end was hurt at the end of the year. So if you bring both those together, then you've got something working.
Exactly. You come in healthy. They both start the season off and especially go through training camp and preseason. They come into the season week 1 healthy. All of them on the field at the same time with Matthew Golden and who else. I don't know who they're going to draft and what their game plan is, but their defense is solid. It's going to be solid. The defense is solid, but the offense that they're in, they're going to have to throw that ball, especially their opponents within the division. Minnesota, they're going to pass the ball a lot. So it's going to be.
It would be curious. By this time, I think we all thought that this would be a number one, a number one fantasy quarterback within the first 6 or 7 quarter, and it just hasn't happened. And I wonder if this is the year that Balky, where is he in the group of quarterbacks? Is he 15 or 16? Where does he fall? And maybe this is the kind of player that you draft there that finishes up with stats in the top 5.
Yeah, I got him in that 10 to 15 range. Look at it today.
So guys, in the Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, Jordan Love is quarterback 19 right now.
Wow.
So he is going behind Kyler Murray. He is going behind Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Bo Nix, players like that. I will say this regarding his stats. He threw in 2023, which would have been 2 seasons ago. In 2023, he threw just under 4,200 yards. That was starting all 17 games. Now, the next 2 years after that, he only played in 15 games a piece, and his numbers obviously went down. You're looking at from 2023, 4,100 yards, 2024, 3,300, and then 2025, another 3,300, basically 3,400. Those
he missed the game into last year as well.
Right, yeah, and the touchdowns too went from 32 to 25 to 23. So if he is playing in all 17 games, I think we're probably looking at a minimum of 4,000 plus yards. We're probably looking at a minimum of 28, 29 touchdowns. And the rushing yards too, I'm trying to find those right now. If we look at his rushing yards, where he was, he definitely had an impact there. 2023, 250 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. The year after that, he didn't run as much, less than 100 yards, still got in the end zone. But then in 2025 again, even dealing with some injuries, he had 200 rushing yards. So there's something to be said for that. I think Love is a nice little buy right now.
I think the whole fantasy world, Derek, is sleeping on him.
Yeah. Keep in mind that Jacobs just joined him 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's true.
That changed the game plan. So,
and the other thing with Jacobs too, like there's a non-zero chance that he slows down this year too, and they're relying on Love.
I think these veteran old running backs are still doing it. So far, they're still doing it. The conditioning programs, what they do in the off season, is totally changing what it was 10 years ago.
Yes, sir. Derek is right on it.
I would love to see what Green Bay does in the draft as far as adding a running back, because they lost Emmanuel Wilson, and I don't know how much they can count on Marshawn Lloyd anymore, but adding another running back to complement Jacobs should be very interesting. And if it's a pass catch running back, all better for Love.
He's going to his 3rd year, right?
But Jacobs is going in his 3rd year with Green Bay.
The backup running back.
Well, we don't. Who is it? That's the thing. I mean, is it Chris Brooks? They just inked him to an extension. Emmanuel Wilson's in Seattle, and Marshawn Lloyd can't get out of the training room. So we don't really – I don't think they have a strong answer at backup running back in Green Bay at this point in time.
And they don't have a number 1 draft pick this year.
And no.
You got to wait until the next day to see him draft somebody.
I will say this. I wouldn't think if they had a number 1 pick, I don't think they'd be going running back. But you never know. Derek, another email here. John in the Bronx wants to know, are you guys predicting a Chig Okonkwo breakout this year? Thank you, John. We appreciate the email. Okonkwo, so I'm just going to leave this out here. I like his situation better in Washington than what I saw in Tennessee. But Derek, as I throw this to you, I can't help but wonder if Okonkwo was going to be a fantasy difference maker, wouldn't we have seen it already in his previous few years in the NFL? I'll let you weigh in on Okonkwo in our nation's capital now, Derek.
Well, I think right now he has a quarterback. You know, his years when he came into the league, who he had? Ryan Tannehill. You know,
boy, those were rough times.
Will Levis.
No.
Will now he get the rookie just last year, and he's in this second year. So no consistency at quarterback in Tennessee. Now he's going to a place where he has a stud quarterback in Jaden Daniels, which throws the football a lot of targets to the tight end position. With this guy in motion, I can see a lot of targets. I see a lot of screen passes. I see another Harold Fannin type of year. What Harold Fannin did last year in Cleveland, he caught the ball in the backfield. He caught the slants. He just caught everything that's come out of the backfield. Even sometimes lined up in the backfield. I wouldn't be, because his size, his profile. What is he? 6'2", 243. He's got a nice profile there. He ran the 40 in pretty good time. If I look at this 40 today, was really good.
He's done things. He was a 4th-round draft pick. If you begin to look at his numbers as a 4th-round draft pick, spot on. That's right where he needs to be. And he catches about 50 passes a year. One of the things that I looked up on him was his college stats, his senior season. He caught 50 passes. I'd love to see him break out. I think, he would only run second to you, Derek, in best beard in football. So, Balky's, close to show, so he's not eligible in the contest. But nevertheless,
you still have that Sinet there, the other kid. He's only in his 3rd year. Sinet.
This is sort of the biggest mysterious player tight end in the whole league. And I keep wanting more, and sometimes I wonder if he's not giving us just who he is. If we sometimes trust NFL scouting, maybe he's giving us who he is. But, if we had trusted NFL scouting, Puka Nacua would be the 4th receiver on his team, catching about 30 balls a year. So,
And Jamarcus Russell would be a Hall of Famer.
He would be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's true.
He's in the Hall of Fame at Shake Shack.
Ertz is still a tight end out there as a free agent.
Who is?
Ertz.
Oh, yes, he is.
And I was going to bring that up, Derek. The Commanders have not ruled out bringing Ertz back.
No.
And I think even Jeffrey Lurie in Philly said, there's a chance that we might have him on the team back in Philly this year. So you never know.
Ertz was a thrill to watch play for the Commanders. Just a thrill to watch.
Had some great years in the NFL, and had that really nasty injury. I would like to see him come back from that knee injury. But it remains to be seen what's going to happen.
And they may draft a wide receiver on top of that.
That's the other thing that I think we should talk about with Okonkwo here is he's got to survive the draft, right?
Yep.
I mean, they could draft the tight end. They could draft a wide receiver like Lemon or Tyson, or if Tate's still there, or maybe they wait till the 2nd round and snag a guy like Denzel Boston, or if Casey Concepcion falls, and then all of a sudden we're looking at Okonkwo in a very different lens, and perhaps we're looking at through the Ferrell Elliott lens of maybe this is who this guy is.
They more than likely all the drafts have them do selecting a wide receiver in this draft. So I think they will draft one.
Yeah, but they only got 6 picks.
We all know that.
Yeah.
The next thing I want to bring up is speaking of the draft, Derek. There is a report from Jamison Hensley, who covers Baltimore for ESPN.com. And I think a lot of times these beat writers, if we read between the lines, we can kind of figure out what they're trying to say. that maybe they can't fully say, right? And I think that's what I think is interesting about this Hensley report. He believes that there's, quote, a strong chance that the Ravens add a wide receiver, and he specifically says at 14 overall. Wow. Now, currently, Derek, in Baltimore, you have Zay Flowers, you have Rashad Bateman, you have Devontae Walker, right? Hemsley also said for people saying that they're going to take an offensive lineman there. They've never taken a guard. They've never taken a center in the top half of the first round. So I don't know. Quite frankly, maybe I should have looked at this. I don't know if the Ravens have had any of the top 3 guys in for top 30 visits or whatever, which isn't really a top 30 visit. It's just a 30 visit. Yeah. You look at this report from a well-connected beat writer in Baltimore. Does this make you feel like you need to move off of Zay Flowers in dynasty leagues right now, knowing that there could be a young up-and-coming guy to compete for targets with them? Or is this a buying opportunity for Flowers where even if this young guy comes in, he may not make the impact in 2026 that perhaps some people would think, and this could be a banner Zay Flowers year, Derek?
It very well could be. I'm not laying off of him. I'm heavy on Flowers. He and him and Lamar, they have that connection. They need a tight end. I believe they're going to draft a tight end. I don't know. It won't be in the first round, but they're definitely going to grab a tight end out of this draft.
I have predictions for this team. Derek, you want to hear?
Yes. The wide receiver room has always been this kind of shaky. They got Bateman in there, and every year we say they need to draft a receiver, just like we said with Buffalo. They need to draft a receiver, blah, 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 right? All of a sudden,
back to Wednesday night, our guest said, he said the landing spot is overrated. And then he talked about how he didn't care for Zay as a receiver in Boston. And that was the problem with this receiver. I saw landing spot to me was the situation for Flowers because I knew he would be a contributing receiver, but I just didn't think there would be enough. It could be more somewhere else. This was the player that reminded me most of Tyreek Hill when he came out of Boston College. But at Baltimore, whatever they do with their personnel, they are perhaps some of the best drafters in all of the NFL. And you guys are right. They've had the wide receivers come in there. They've had a good selection of wide receiver for them. The one that I think would help Flowers the most is if they went out and got Boston, because he's the absolute polar opposite of Flowers. Yeah. But I think probably 14 is a little high for him. So, but my prediction, Derek, and you are right on spot. My prediction is the former New Mexico State, recently of Vanderbilt, Eli Stowers going to Baltimore in the second round.
Nice. I like Stowers. That would be nice.
Call me crazy.
But I think they're gonna grab a running back out of this draft as well.
Yeah, they will. They will.
Henry's on his way out, so
you could call me crazy on this, and while I think your Stowers, both of your guys' Stowers point makes sense, I would be surprised, but I would not be shocked if Kenyon Sadiq is the pick at 14 if he's still available.
Wow.
Paired with Mark Andrews for this second contract or third contract that the Ravens have signed him to. Not saying it's likely. It definitely won't be Isaiah likely. But I'm not saying it's going to happen or probable to happen. But if that card gets read next Thursday night,
I would be surprised if Kansas City let him get by at 9.
Bucky, just own it. Just own it. Just say, hey, he's going. This is where he's going. I'm right about it. And when we get back after the draft, I'll tell you how right I was.
Kansas City would be interesting.
If you were to go there. Draft next week. I can't wait.
Yeah, we can't wait either.
Remember the quarterback that ran in sub 4.4s at the combine? What was his name?
Was it Cole Payton? I don't even know.
No. This year, Green.
Taylor Green.
Yeah.
Green. Somehow, if I'm in that draft room, that's the guy that I'm going to draft and try to make him my next Lamar. I'm going to keep him around for a little while, and that's going to be my guy. And they surprised us with Lamar years ago when they traded up in the first round and got him. They don't have to get in the first round for this player, but boy, you sure are getting an incredible ball player right there.
Talon Green is the player out of Arkansas, 6'6", 227. This is Lamar Jackson on steroids. He doesn't run like Lamar Jackson, but who does? But this guy is fast, Ferrell.
Yeah.
Interesting to see. All right, Derek, I'll throw this one to you. Mike Garofalo, had this report for the NFL Network in regards to Howie Roseman answering a question whether A.J. Brown is going to be on the team this year. And I quote Howie Roseman, "What do you think the odds are that I'm answering this question any differently than I answered it anywhere else? Like, really, do you think that's 50%? Do you think that's 75%? To me," end quote, by the way, "to me, when I hear something like this, I'm kind of like, you know what? I don't think A.J. Brown's on this team in 2026. I'm getting more and more set in that. Now, maybe that's to my own detriment. But, Derek, should we not be drafting Devonta Smith a little bit higher? Should we not be understanding that Jalen Hurts is going to get a big weapon taken away from him this year? Should we not understand that perhaps New England or the Chargers or somebody like that is going to be getting a weapon in A.J. Brown, and we should draft players like Ladd McConkey, like Romeo Dobbs, like Hunter Henry, players like that? Should we maybe pull back on how we're treating them right now? For me, I think this is getting out ahead of the curve. Am I wrong in thinking that I should start to treat A.J. Brown as a non-Eagle in 2026?
I have already. I've been drafting that way. So if you have not been drafting that way, you're not listening to the news.
Right. Yeah.
Especially the trades. They just got Donovan Wicks in, and they have 3 receivers they've picked up since this rumor's been going around here. And they can't do nothing until June 1st, right? After June 1st, they lose that at $20 million comes off their books for him. So New England seems like the target place right now. And so everybody's jumping on that bandwagon of drafting Smith. Do that if you want at your peril, because they're going to draft a receiver. So who I'm drafting, and I'm going to let Steve know this with the fantasy soprano guy, I'm drafting A.J. Brown. I'm drafting A.J. Brown everywhere. If you're not drafting A.J. Brown, you don't know what you're doing. As far as I'm concerned, A.J. Brown's a stud. Outright stud. You get him with this other quarterback, he's doing the same. He's going to put up the same numbers, probably even better numbers. So I'm all in A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith hasn't proven to me that he's a number 1 right now.
Okay.
He has not proven it to me. Until he does, I'm going to treat him like I've always treated him.
Ferrell, your thoughts? Are you with Derek and I that A.J. Brown is good as gone in Philly?
I think so. I don't. Yes. Derek and I support Balky enough gray hair to remind you that we know the Motown hits, and I heard it through the grapevine was one of the best Motown hits, and that's all you got to do to figure out A.J. Brown.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially was that a year and a half ago? He's on the sidelines reading the book.
Yep.
For a football game.
Change of location. It can help everyone.
Get me out. Is what he was saying, right? And that was the year they just won the Super Bowl.
Right? Might be what we need. So, my dad had a great expression. Can't stand prosperity. It's sometimes
he needs to go. They know that, so they
go find some prosperity somewhere else.
And the Patriots right now is just, come on, AJ, we'll take you.
Yeah. They got to fight this Super Bowl curse, like the loser of the Super Bowl, like missing the playoffs the following year. And they had such an easy schedule this year. And their head coach in the headlines right now for perhaps
he quit. She resigned.
Yes, and we saw that as well, which is wow, what a story that was. Did not have that on my bingo card.
But get it together, AJ. Because there's too many wide receivers coming in this league knocking on the door. So come on. I want to see you play. I love watching you play. Come on, get it together.
Yeah, he and Drake May will be a nice.
Yeah, they'll get it together.
They have Dobbs over there, and they still have Butte and Demario Douglas. They have a lot of receivers, a lot of targets over there. And then you got Henderson out of the backfield, and you got Stevenson. They got a good team. New England's still going to be good. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a rougher time this year because of the schedules.
Right.
Super Bowl. Coming off a Super Bowl, on top of that, so the schedule going to be totally different. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think the schedule comes out after the draft next week, right?
Yes, sir. Mid-May, most important day in all of football. Everyone that's in football is on the edge of their seat for the schedule show. Players, coaches, fantasy, season ticket holders, everybody. Mm-hmm. On the edge of their seat.
I would say we're probably a month away from the schedule release, and with the NFL like taking over other days of the week with Wednesday and Friday and Saturday, it's even more important for fantasy purposes and really, and as Ferrell said, all those stakeholders in it as well.
And the Super Bowl is going to be here in SoFi, right?
Yes,
Super Bowl's in SoFi on Valentine's Day when you'll be in Kentucky, Derek.
The Rams will be in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. You'll be enjoying it from here.
In the Super Bowl. It's like
man, there's a lot of good predictions tonight.
We had a good show. This has been a good one.
Let's don't quit. We still got stuff we can talk about.
I'll tell you what. I
just hit my second win.
Well, let's do one more. Let's do one more question. And Derek, I'll throw this to you because in less than a week, well, I shouldn't say less than a week, in roughly a week, because I don't know if Carolina takes a receiver on day 1 or day 2 or day 3. I don't know how impactful that's going to be for 2026. But the question here is, if Jalen Coker is able to survive the draft and the Panthers don't go receiver or tight end in round 1, and then day 2, they're investing in their defense or other skill positions, and all of a sudden it looks like Coker is going to be that second banana, the second receiver to Teteroa McMillan this year. If that is the case, Derek, if we assume all that, and granted he's got to jump over some hurdles this coming weekend to do it, but if he is that number 2 option for Bryce Young in Carolina, what kind of production are you expecting to see from him in 2026?
Well, you know what, Balky, he's been told already that he's going to be the number 2. I mean, they came out about 2 months ago. A report came out. They told that. We
believe that, but I also know that things change, and with the NFL draft coming up, I don't want to say like there's no way that it doesn't happen. I believe it will happen, and if it does happen, that's why I'm framing the question this way.
Yep,
I think you're right.
I think he's going to be a viable option for Mr. Young to throw the ball to, besides Tet, because Tet kind of get that deeper pass route tree that he runs. I think Coker is going to be in the slot. I think you can move him around a lot, put him in motion. I think it's going to be a heavy presence in that offense. And he was right for the last 2-3 games of the year this past season here. He was very heavily used. I think he was injured most of last year. He had some injuries going on there. But when he did hit the field, he was very productive. So I see Jalen Coker right now as, if I had a chance to draft him, for some reason he gets drafted before I had a chance to get to him.
Yep.
The Ferrell takes them before I can get to
it. Yes, sir. This is a true fact. We have had some wonderful times drafting and opposing each other this year, along with Tommy Heron, Tommy Island, the lead of fantasy soprano, Stephen G. We've had some great. It's been a great spring, and I've been out of drafting now for 10 days, and I feel like I'm missing my true calling. I can't wait to get back.
The other day, and I'm tired, so I'm rested now, recovering, and I got dynasty teams that I'm building up now and making trades every single day. I build my dynasty teams up because I got to win this year. My dynasty,
yes, sir. We got to win.
We're all under pressure to win. We all want to win every year. What's the most important year in dynasty? This year, right? And we want to get it done this year. Derek been getting it done in dynasty. And in best ball leagues. Derek Grier, the 10-time FFPC Main Event and Big Gorilla League champion, joining us on the show tonight. Derek, thank you so much for hopping aboard. We will continue to follow you on X at DE Grier 66. That is DEGR IER66 on the X. Great stuff. And by the way, what a striking, handsome photo of you at the KFFSC with a KFFSC trophy in front of you, sporting the KFFSC hoodie on your Twitter profile.
This season. I missed it by 2 points, something like that.
It was close.
Win that trophy.
Yeah, we got trophies waiting for you. It's not going to be good. This is our 25th anniversary this year, Derek, and we've got a lot of special surprises. And but what makes it work, what makes it worthwhile after all these years is guys like you in the building. So we can't wait for August. Is what it is. And they got to get here on Thursday because we have the special bourbon dinner of which Balky is going to deliver the benediction and a speech.
We'll fly out that Wednesday before. We're gonna get
sir. Get Wednesday before, and Balky will be the MC, and it's going to be great. Thursday night dinner. Yes.
Derek, be good. Enjoy the NFL draft next week. Enjoy your rookie drafts the week after, and we will talk with you again very soon, my friend.
The pressure's on.
I'll see you in the draft room, brother.
See you, Derek.
Always.
You got it. Later on. That is Derek Grier, 10-time FFPC main event and Big Gorilla champ. The tension is palpable. And what better way to cut through the tension, Ferrell, than drafting in the KFFSC, KFFSC.com. Draft now, draft early, draft often. With the NFL having its annual Choose 'em Up in Pittsburgh coming up next week, have your own Choose 'em Up with the KFFSC right now. And you teased this earlier. Next week, we will have an announcement about the KFFSC. Is that accurate?
We have an announcement in celebration of our 25th anniversary. We're doing a number of things slightly differently, but this one was a big difference, a big new addition to the KFFSC family, and I can't wait to tell you about it next week, Bob.
Oh, that's going to be exciting. Until then, Ferrell, enjoy the NFL draft. No, we will not enjoy the NFL draft because you and I will do a show Wednesday, NFL Draft Eve, with one Tom Weaver, the 3-time FFPC Dynasty League champ from last year. We'll have a fantastic full-on preview of the NFL draft and getting you all set and excited for what's going to take place in Pittsburgh. Until next Wednesday, Ferrell, I bid you adieu. Enjoy your weekend, my friend.
Thank you, brother.
That is Ferrell Elliott, the definitive commissioner of fantasy football. Want to thank our guest tonight, Derek Grier, Ferrell, the FFPC, Rob Bryce, and of course, each and every one of you. What's coming up next week? I will let you know exactly what's coming up. Monday night, it's a special Monday night episode of the FFPC high stakes, the FFPC Insider Access show, which is going to be great. When it comes down to it, we just could not do a show during the NFL draft on Thursday night. Just wasn't going to happen because so many eyes are on the draft on Pittsburgh. So how do we get eyes on the FFPC Insider Access show? We do it on Monday, 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. It is the definitive preview show for the NFL draft, and we will be welcoming back on Matt Price from Dynasty League Football back onto the show. He will get us prepped for all the rookies, everything you need to know about heading into the NFL draft. That's next Monday. Next Wednesday, Ferrell and I will go live at 10 p.m. Eastern time with Tom Weaver, the 3-time FFPC Dynasty champion. And then we will record a show Thursday night, roughly around 11 p.m. Eastern time. Or maybe midnight. I don't know. It'll be later on. Probably 11:30 Eastern time. We're going to record a show, and then we'll put that out Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So you will have our take on everything that happened, at least in round one, how it affects fantasy football. And that will get put out at our normal Friday night time. So you're still going to get that extra show next week. We'll probably have an extra guest pop on for that as well. That's what's going on next week. Of course, if you missed it, we had a great show with Jeff Benson on Wednesday night. Watch that back anywhere you get your podcasts, including the FFPC socials. The 7-time FFPC Dynasty League champion joined us for that show. Jeremiah Retzlaff, the coach himself, from Player Profiler and the FF Dynasty podcast. He and I went hard on the NFL draft for 2 hours last night. You can catch that anywhere you get your podcasts as well. Don't forget Dynasty and Empire Orphans at myffpc.com, available for as little as $1. The Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, Never Too Early Superflex Best Ball Tournament. Time is running out to get in on those. As once the NFL draft starts, those drafts will stop unless we reach capacity before then, and then you won't have a chance to draft them at all because we will shut those down. Big Gorilla and Baby Gorilla are live as well at myffpc.com. That is myffpc.com. Remember to like this video, subscribe to this channel, comment on the video, share with your friends, share with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live, which will be Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on FFPC Insider Access with my friend Matt Price from DLF. And, of course, this coming Wednesday night, Ferrell Elliott, myself, and Tom Weaver chopping it up for your viewing pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. For Derek Grier, for Ferrell Elliott, this has been High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour Extra Reps. Your weekend officially starts now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com. It was broadcast live and was watched around the world. Balky and Ferrell will be back next week with more analysis, more interviews, and more advice from guests much smarter than they are. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk with you again next week.
Yourself.